And I think it's interesting that sometimes we talk to kind of more liberal guests about this. Oh, my goodness, what is President Trump doing? Like, this is crazy. But in conservative circles, this has been an idea that I think the old joke goes, since the department came in, there have been people pushing to get rid of it. Didn't think it was necessary to begin with on the federal level. Make the argument.
Well, that's right. Even after the department came into being, just before Reagan took office, there was conversation among his administration about shutting it down right away. Look, it was made in a deal with teacher unions back then, and it has since really fostered a incredible growth in taxpayer spending on K-12 schools, and a non-trivial amount of that has gone to hiring more administrators, which has helped to fill ranks of union members.
So the question on the other side is always, oh, what would we lose, right, if we got rid of it? So the former mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, was on a few minutes ago. So here's what he said.
The bottom line is that everyday American, all across the country, especially red states, depends on public school education. And I think the trap that President Trump found himself in is you can say you don't like the bureaucracy, but you get rid of the Department of Education, you're going to get rid of a lot of funding and support for local schools in that bargain. And everyday Americans don't want that.
What would you say about that, that funding for certain programs would be lost?
No, that's not accurate. I mean, look, the per student funding around the country, on average, most of it comes from state and local taxpayers. The federal portion is somewhere south of 10%. And not only that, look at what the salaries of those working at the Department of Education are. I mean, they're making north of $100,000, $114,000 on average. The average teacher is only making about $71,000. Okay, and many of the main programs, like for children with from disadvantaged backgrounds, like school meals, those are handled by other agencies anyway, like the USDA.
The other thing, though, is the mechanics of doing it. I thought it was interesting today that the White House was saying, "Oh, we're going to get this," and we all thought that was going to be the announcement, 2 p.m. Eastern, and it didn't happen. It does, like, I've heard Arnie Duncan on a couple times on this, and he said, oh, it's never going to happen for Obama's education secretary because Trump would need the Congress and he'll never get the votes in the Senate. Isn't that true? He would need the Congress to dissolve it. How do you see it actually playing out?
Well, there is some power that the secretary has through a provision in law known as GEPA that would allow her to work with other agencies to accomplish some of the programs that the department is already running. I do think that there are some programs that needed to be cut for a long time that the secretary could do unilaterally. It would be helpful, though, if Congress had a plan and laid out, as we've proposed at the Heritage Foundation, a roadmap for closing down these offices. Now, there are some crucial provisions and programs that are run. Office of Civil Rights, for example, could move to the Department of Justice. Keeping track of student test scores, that could move to census. So all of the things that are essential.
You guys have it all outlined, right? Like where it wouldn't necessarily, because maybe shutdown's not the right word. It would be moving some of this to other departments, right? That's what you've suggested when you wrote it up?
The important parts we could move, but remember, the big picture here is that not all of it is essential, and I think that's the point. So much of what the department does is not essential.
All right, we'll see. So you think he's going to be able to do it real quick or not? Or it's going to be up to the Congress to get rid of the whole thing?
Well, regardless, it needs to be a priority for conservatives, whether it happens now or later.
Jonathan Butcher from Heritage. All right, Jonathan, thanks for coming on. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.